It's time to discuss quite possibly the best of the Kentucky Derby contenders for 2024, Sierra Leone. Let's go.
Trust the Profits is proud to be sponsored by Game of Silks. Go to silks.io to get in the game. Real ownership, real races, real rewards.
What's up, yo? It's your boy, El Hombre. We are here talking about the 2024 Kentucky Derby contender spotlights. Going one horse at a time here. We have the field pretty much set going into the last week. Sierra Leone. Let's talk about him. I had the pleasure of seeing him at the Bluegrass Stakes at Keeneland just a couple weeks back, and he was obviously super impressive. That was a super speed biased track on that weekend, to the point of we all knew, we sat in a group, a bunch of us from Trust the Profits here, sat in a group, and we all discussed Sierra Leone's the best horse in this race. It was such a speed biased track that whole weekend that we actually talked ourselves into believing that Sierra probably couldn't overcome that speed bias, and it would take a superstar of a horse to do that up against a pretty tough field there at the Bluegrass. And guess what? Sierra Leone closed in, the only horse of the whole weekend to close in from way off the pace and get it done, easily. Sierra Leone is a dead closer coming from the clouds. I mean, the impressive close, especially considering that speed bias track at Keeneland that weekend. So anyway, Game of Silks, thanks to the sponsor, Game of Silks. Sierra Leone's owned in there. I mean, just for an example of what you can get involved with Game of Silks here, Sierra Leone's paid back almost 10 grand in rewards. And guess what, folks? He hasn't even come into the Triple Crown races yet, so you can see the potential of what can happen if you do get into a horse like Sierra Leone. So let's just look at this. Nearly 10,000 in earnings already. Let's see what that looks like after the Triple Crown, folks, because I got a good feeling about him going into this Triple Crown season. Big threat to the Kentucky Derby. He has 4 starts, 3 wins, 1 second, and that second seems like light years ago. He's much improved since then. So, all right, let's take a look at Sierra Leone. First of all, trainer Chad Brown. Now, I know Chad doesn't have the biggest history in the Kentucky Derby, so, beat me up with all that, but this is a good horse. This is a superior horse. Again, I'm going to beat this to death. I don't like closers in the Kentucky Derby. I never have. I don't like betting them. There's 20, minimum of 16, 17 horses, usually up to 20. It doesn't bode well for closers, especially if you consider there's oftentimes the Kentucky Derby is a wet weekend. It's spring in Kentucky, and it is oftentimes just very unpredictable weather. That doesn't bode well for closers, but then just factor in the fact that you have to come through a field of 20 and bobbing and weaving. You saw it. I mean, famously, Rich Strike, I'll bring him up again, bobbing and weaving. There's a lot of luck involved. There's a lot of things that a horse like Fierceness or somebody who's going to run up front, up on the pace, potentially even leading, they don't have to deal with it. They don't need the luck. They kind of create their own path here. But Sierra Leone's going to be dependent upon a couple things, dependent on a pace to be set to where he can close into, and then dependent upon not getting jammed up behind a pack of 5 wide or whatever and have to go swinging crazy wide at the top of the stretch. If you get into a race where they get packed up and there's a whole bunch of, stalkers and closers trying to get it done all at once, which happens from time to time. But if there's a horse that can overcome that type of treacherous situation, I do think it is Sierra Leone. He's one of the best closers I've seen in a long time. And I really think he could get it done. The Sierra's Gun Runner, we'll get into that a little bit further here in a second. But how did we get here with Sierra Leone? He's winner of the Bluegrass, like I mentioned, winner of the Risen Star, second in the Remsen and Aqueduct to Dornoch. And Dornoch's an interesting case because he ran here in the Bluegrass as well. Ran a disappointing fourth, I think he got. There was a lot of speculation that he wasn't being pushed because he didn't need the points, blah, blah, blah. We won't get too far into that, but I believe there's some truth to that, and I believe that Dornoch might be an underlay in the Derby as far as betting goes. But, again, Gun Runner, third crop Gun Runner for pedigree notes. That's elite. I mean, you've seen horses like Cyberknife, horses like Early Voting coming out of this same crop. And I mean, you just don't get much better than that. And then you factor in the fact that Tyler Gaffalione, I think, he's poised. He's going to win multiple derbies. This could be the one. And again, my big concern is the closer pace profile. It's not something I would usually lean toward. I'm usually up on, a horse like Epicenter and, horses like Fierceness, or in the past, all the Baffert monsters that just kind of created their own lane and did their own thing. It's a lot easier to get it done if you're controlling your own fate like that. So that is the big knock on him. So with that said, speed figure wise, amongst the elite, amongst the best in this crop for sure. Definitely the most consistent. And I think I hesitate to say the fastest because, with the first of all, speed figures are what you make of them. They're different in every state. I don't care what anybody says. California horses always have bigger numbers, for example. And then you have obviously things like conditions and, track bias and everything else. But he is, in my opinion, the best overall horse in this crop, maybe outside of Fierceness. I think they're 1 and 1A. That's just where I'm at. I know that's chalky, and I know that's popular, but it's popular for a reason because it's true, folks. Fitness-wise, he has shown absolutely no signs of, not getting the distance. He's one of the horses that I don't have any concern with that. He's definitely on a short list of win contenders for me. I think one of I'm going to narrow it down. I think there's 4 or 5 that have a real shot to win here. He's definitely one of them. And I think he's definitely first or second. Like I said, 1A and 1 and 1A with Fierceness. And I know I'm a chalk eater. Call me what you will. But he's more than capable of doing this, even off that closer run style, which again scares me. But I'm making an exception for Sierra Leone. I'm rooting for him. This will be the second year in a row where I was on hand for the last prep where the Derby winner ran. Last year it was the Florida Derby where Forte got it done and then scratched out of it. But guess what? Mage was a very, very close second in that race, went on to win the Derby. And in this case, I think Sierra Leone's going to win this thing. And I think he's going to be second choice to Fierceness, probably somewhere around 3-1, 7-2, maybe even 4-1, which is going to be, that's reasonable if you really believe in him. And I really believe in him. So let's get it done. Sierra Leone, Chad Brown, TG, and Gunrunner. Peace out. Thanks for watching.